forced to sleep on the couch. Then the hotel manager dropped a life-changing secret. Image prompt: a dimly lit luxury hotel lobby at midnight in downtown Chicago. Rain-streaked windows reflecting neon city lights. A disheveled woman in her late 30s clutching a worn leather suitcase stands at the marble front desk. Her face etched with quiet fury as the elderly manager leans forward conspiratorially. A faded manila envelope between them. Shadows playing across their tense expressions under the glow of a single brass lamp. No violence. Just the electric weight of unspoken betrayal hanging in the air. I never thought I'd end up on that goddamn couch for the third night in a row. My spine twisting like a pretzel against the sagging cushions, while Victor fucked his way through the city like it was his personal playground. But when I caught him red-handed, lipstick on his collar, the scent of cheap bourbon and cheaper perfume wafting off him like a guilty fog, I didn't scream or throw plates.
No.
I grabbed my keys, my wallet, and the first shred of dignity I could salvage. And I drove straight into the storm-slicked streets of Chicago, headlights cutting through the downpour like accusations. And that's when the hotel manager, old man Harlan with his liver-spotted hands and eyes that had seen too many check-ins and check-outs, slid that envelope across the counter and whispered, "Sadie, this ain't just about your husband's wandering dick. It's about the body he stole from you years ago." It hit me like a freight train barreling through the loop at rush hour. Harlan wasn't some nosy concierge peddling gossip. He was the keeper of secrets. The guy who'd watched the elite of this city, politicians, CEOs, the kind of assholes who summer in the Hamptons and winter in hell cycle through his revolving doors with their alibis and their whores. We'd known each other since I was a wide-eyed kid slinging coffee at the corner diner, back when Victor was just a slick-talking junior exec promising me the world. Harlan had always had my back, slipping me extra tips, a sympathetic nod when Victor started canceling dates for late meetings. But this envelope, yellowed and sealed with wax that looked like it belonged in a noir flick, contained blueprints to a nightmare I didn't even know I was living. I tore it open right there in the lobby, the rain pattering against the glass like impatient fingers. Inside were grainy photos. Victor, younger, sharper, shaking hands with a cluster of suits in a sterile lab, the kind of place that screams black-budget government op. And there, circled in red pen, was my face, me, Sadie Klein, née Harper, 25 and pregnant, smiling dopily at a prenatal class. But the caption underneath? Subject Alpha. Donor viability confirmed. Neural mapping complete. My hands shook so bad, I nearly dropped the whole damn thing. Harlan leaned in closer, his voice a gravelly rumble. They swapped you,
Sadie.
not your soul, not some hocus-pocus bullshit, but your essence. Your memories, your spark. Victor's been walking around in a shell of you since the day that kid was born. And you've been paying for his sins ever since. The words didn't land at first. I laughed. A brittle, ugly sound that echoed off the vaulted ceiling.
Swapped?
Like some sci-fi wet dream cooked up in a DARPA basement? But as Harlan spilled the beans, how Victor, climbing the corporate ladder at Neuralink Industries, had volunteered for their experimental neural transfer program, a consciousness relocation tech meant to cheat death for the 1%ers, I felt the ground tilt. It was 2018, the height of the opioid crisis bleeding into biotech scandals, when Silicon Valley bros were peddling immortality apps like snake oil. Neuralink pitched it as mercy. Upload your mind, download into a fresh body, leave the cancer or the car wreck behind. But Victor? He wasn't dying.
He was corner-cutting.
Embezzling funds from a charity I ran, Kids First, for foster kids like the one we'd lost before we even named her. To cover it, he needed a patsy.
Me.
They did it during my routine surgery after the miscarriage. I woke up foggy, aching, convinced it was grief. But it wasn't. My body healed, but my fire,
Gone.
decisions dulled, ambition evaporated. I became the perfect wife, compliant, forgetful, the one who balanced the books while Victor soared. And when the feds came knocking about the missing millions,
It was my signature on the falsified docs.
my face in the mugshot. Community service, probation, Victor played the devastated husband, testifying how poor Sadie cracked under pressure. He got the promotion. I got the couch. I checked into room 417 that night, the envelope burning a hole in my purse. The room smelled of stale smoke and regret, the kind of mid-tier joint where the minibar costs more than the view. I paced the threadbare carpet, phone in hand, thumb hovering over Victor's number. Call him? Confront the bastard?
No.
That was too clean. Too American dream. Divorce him. Split the assets. Fade into suburbia with a therapy dog and a bottle of Pinot. This betrayal ran marrow deep. A theft of self that no court could untangle. Harlan's parting words echoed. The text reversible.
Sadie.
But it ain't free. And it ain't pretty. Reversible. The words slithered through me like hope laced with venom. If I could slip into his skin, literally, imagine the havoc. The confessions.
The fall.
By dawn, I'd made the call. Not to Victor, but to Harlan's contact, a ghost in the machine named Dr. Elias Crow, the rogue Neuralink whistleblower who'd fled to a basement lab in Pilsen after the program imploded in lawsuits. Elias met me in a taqueria that reeked of cumin and desperation. His face half hidden under a hoodie, eyes darting like a man who'd pissed off the CIA. It's not magic, he muttered over greasy carnitas. It's entanglement. Quantum neural sync. We link two brains, map the overlays, flip the switch. But Sadie, side effects. Identity bleed. You might not come back, all you. I didn't care. The rage had crystallized, sharp as the Windy City's winter bite. Victor had stolen my prime, my drive, my edge, leaving me a husk to shoulder his greed. The foster kids I'd fought for? Their funding vanished into his offshore accounts. And the secret he'd buried deepest? Our daughter. Not a miscarriage, but a termination he forced, claiming career timing, all while prepping the swap to erase any trace of my resistance. I'd borne that crime, that lie, for 8 years.
Now.
It was payback time. Elias's setup was a Faraday cage in an abandoned warehouse, jury-rigged with salvaged MRI coils and servers humming like angry bees. We lured Victor there under pretense, a surprise anniversary getaway. I texted, playing the doting wife one last time.
He showed.
Cocky as ever. Armani's suit rumpled from whatever in turn he'd bent over the desk that afternoon. Babe, this kinky? Roleplay in the ruins. His laugh grated. But when Elias hit him with a tranq dart, disguised as a champagne flute pop, Victor crumpled like the paper tiger he was. Strapped to the gurneys, our heads shaved and wired, the air thick with ozone and fear, I locked eyes with my husband. Not my husband, my thief. You'll never prove it, he slurred. The drugs kicking in. I'm untouchable. Board seat next week. You're nothing without me. I smiled. The first real one in years. That's the point.
Vic.
I'm taking it all back. The flip was agony. fire lancing through synapses. Memories crashing like waves, his mistress's moans, my buried ambitions, the sterile clinic where he signed away our future. When the hum died, I blinked into his body, taller, heavier, the weight of his Rolex like an anchor on my wrist. Victor in my frame, petite and unassuming, stirred, confusion twisting my features. Elias unstrapped us. 24 hours max before decoherence. Make M count. I stepped out into the night. Victor's Mercedes purring under me, his phone buzzing with sycophantic texts. The power surged, intoxicating. First stop, his office at Neuralink Tower. Glass monolith piercing the loop skyline. Security waved me through, me as him. His assistant, Lena, all legs and loyalty, poured scotch without asking. Rough night, Mr. Klein. I leaned in, voice dropping to his gravelly timbre. Lena, darling, ever wonder what it'd be like to run this place? Without the middleman? She blushed. But I saw the flicker, ambition mirroring mine. I fed her the files, embezzlement ledgers, swap protocols, the works. Leak it. Tonight. And if anyone asks, it was his idea. As I left, I lingered in the elevator, tracing my new jawline in the mirrored wall. Controversial? Hell. This was borderline treason, corporate sabotage with a side of identity theft. But justice in America isn't blind. It's bought. Victor had rigged the game. I was just flipping the board. Meanwhile, back in the warehouse, Elias reported later, Victor, in my body, had bolted, screaming about imposters, pounding on police station doors in my rumpled jeans. Cops dismissed her, me, as a hysterical wife on a bender. Ma'am, your husband's fine. Go home. The irony burned sweet. But Victor was cunning, a rat in a maze he'd built himself. By noon, his texts flooded my phone. Sadie, what the fuck? Undo this. We can talk. Then threats. I'll bury you. Again. I ignored them, driving to the Gold Coast high-rise where his mistress, Brooke, held court in a penthouse paid for by kids' first donations. Brooke, blonde, Botoxed, 25 going on entitled, opened the door in silk nothing, expecting her sugar daddy. Vic, you're early. I pushed inside, slamming her against the wall. His hands, my hands, gripping her throat just tight enough to bruise intent, without mark. Tell me everything, I growled. The swaps. The cover-ups. Or I end this little fantasy right here. She spilled, tears smearing mascara. Victor's inner circle. A cabal of tech titans and senators, using the tech for more than embezzlement. Human trafficking foster kids. Undocumented migrants, funneled into donor pools for the rich to hot bodies like hotel rooms. I'd signed off on adoptions that were harvests. My stomach churned, bile rising in his throat. Controversial decision number 1. I didn't kill her. I recorded her confession, uploaded it to a dark web drop Elias prepped. Let the bloggers and the blue checks tear it apart. Body swap scandal trended by evening. Victor's name and mine splashed across CNN tickers. But the real storm brewed at home. He stormed the brownstone. My old life mocking from the foyer, framed wedding photo. My charity awards gathering dust. Victor, still in my skin, barricaded in the kitchen, wielding a chef's knife like a talisman. Give it back, she shrieked, voice cracking in my soprano. I towered over her, His bulk a weapon. You stole it first. The money. The girl. My goddamn soul. We circled like predators. The air thick with garlic from last night's takeout. Ironic. That domestic scent amid the savagery. He lunged. I sidestepped. His knife clattering. Pinned. He sobbed, tears I'd never shed in that body. It was for us.
Sadie.
The power. The life we deserved.
Lies.
All of it. But in that moment, bleed happened, flashes of his childhood. Trailer park in Gary. Fists from a drunk dad. The hunger that birthed his ruthlessness. Pity flickered. Unbidden. Controversial choice, too. I hesitated. Let him up. One chance.
Vic.
Confess. To the feds. The board, everything. Or I walk out, and your empire crumbles from the inside. He nodded. Broken. We drove to the precinct together, me in his suit, him in my cardigan, a twisted Bonnie and Clyde turning state's evidence. The cops, smelling blood,
Swarmed.
By midnight, Victor Klein was in cuffs. My old body cuffed too, but as an accessory unraveling the whole rotten network. Harlan met me outside, cigarette glowing in the drizzle. You did it.
Kid.
Reversal set for dawn. As Elias's machine whirred again, pulling me back into my familiar frame, aches and all, I felt the weight lift. Victor's trial-dominated headlines, tech mogul's body swap empire exposed. He got life. No parole. His cabal scattering like roaches.
Me?
I reclaimed kids first, turned it legit, fought for the donors he'd preyed on. Happy ending? In the land of the free, where justice costs a fortune. It felt like one. But as I settled into bed that night, not the couch. Never again, the bleed lingered. Whispers in the dark. Was it ever really him? Or did I always have the hunger? The twist nod. Harlan's envelope? It wasn't just whistleblower docs. Buried in the fine print, a note from Elias. Sadie, you initiated the first mapping. Back when you thought the miscarriage was fate's fault. Victor covered.
But the tech?
Your idea. Reversal indeed. I'd borne no crime. I'd birthed the monster. Was I avenger or architect? The courts debated it for years. Victim or villain? And America, loving its scandals, picked sides.
Me?
I sleep sound now, but the couch haunts my dreams. Some secrets, once dug up, refuse the grave. Word count, 1012. Part 2. Waking up in my own skin felt like slipping into a favorite coat that's shrunk in the wash, familiar, but tighter across the shoulders, every seam pulling at old wounds. The reversal left me hollowed out, echoes of Victor's bravado bouncing in my skull like bad radio static. I stared at the ceiling of that Pilsen squat Elias called home, the first light of morning filtering through blackout curtains taped over busted windows. My hands, small, calloused from years folding charity flyers, trembled as I touched my face, tracing the faint lines that told my real age, not his polished veneer. Welcome back, Sadie, Elias murmured from the corner, nursing a thermos of what smelled like regret distilled into coffee. Bleeds normal. Fades in weeks. But the questions? Those stick. Questions. Yeah. Like why the hell I'd greenlit the neural scan all those years ago. Back when Victor pitched it as insurance against another loss. We'd been in couples counseling. The kind upscale shrinks in Lincoln Park pedal to keep the facade intact. Imagine, he'd said, eyes gleaming over Merlot. Uploading us both. eternal togetherness. I'd sign the waiver, desperate to glue our fracturing marriage, blind to the fine print, my brain as the template, his as the thief. The miscarriage had cracked me, hormones, grief, the isolation of Chicago's endless gray winters, and I'd latched onto his dream like a lifeline. But it wasn't a dream, it was a heist.
And now,
with Victor rotting in MCC's finest cell block, awaiting a trial that would make OJ look like a parking ticket, I had to face the mirror. Was I the betrayed? Or the blueprint for betrayal? Harlan picked me up in his battered Impala, the engine coughing like a lifelong smoker. We cruised the Dan Ryan Expressway, semis roaring past us, horns blaring in that symphony of urban indifference. Papers are calling you a hero, Sadie, he said, flicking ash out the cracked window. Or a hack. Depends on the byline. Fox says you're the little guy sticking it to the man. NYT calls it ethical quicksand. Your complicity. The moral rot. I snorted, watching the skyline recede. Hero? I'd spent the last 24 hours as Victor Klein, whispering seductions to his PA, choking confessions from his side piece. Decisions that'd make any red-blooded American clutch their pearls. Controversial didn't cover it. It was the kind of vigilante justice that thrives in dive bars and dies in courtrooms. Back at the brownstone, the place was a crime scene taped off, feds combing for evidence of swaps hidden in plain sight. My charity board had convened an emergency Zoom, faces pixelated and pinched. Sadie, we stand by you, gushed Margaret, the token socialite. But the donors, they're spooked. Spooked? Those Hamptons housewives who'd funneled cash through Victor's shell core, unwittingly bankrolling body farms in the Rust Belt. I leaned into the webcam, voice steady for the first time in years. Good. Let him be. Kids First is going clean. Audits. Transparency. No more shadows. And if you can't handle the light, there's the door. Hanging up. I rifled through Victor's desk. The oak behemoth that had loomed over our marriage like a judgmental god. Hidden drawers yielded gold, encrypted drives with logs of transfers, not just minds,
but lives.
Names, ages, origins. A Guatemalan teen swapped for a Wall Street widow's youth boost, a Gary steelworker. His consciousness dumped into a vegetative donor so some VC could reinvent himself. My stomach roiled. I'd borne this, signed for it. Even? The crime wasn't embezzlement, it was erasure. A modern slave trade where souls were the commodity. And the antagonist? Not just Victor, but the web he'd woven, Senator Hale. The silver-haired hawk who'd chaired the oversight committee. Pocketing Neuralink kickbacks, Elena Voss. The biotech baroness who'd patented the sync algorithm. Her Hamptons galas masking midnight auctions. My phone buzzed, unknown number. Brooke's voice. Shaky but steel-edged. Sadie?
It's
out there. The video. Hale's people are circling, threats. Payoffs. I need protection. Protection. From the monster I'd unleashed in Victor's skin. I met her at a Wicker Park cafe. The kind with exposed brick and overpriced lattes. Hipsters tapping away on Max oblivious to the apocalypse brewing. Brooke slid into the booth. Hood up. Eyes red-rimmed. He knew. Your husband. About the donors. Said it was necessary evolution.
But you.
In his body. You made me say it. On camera. Now they're coming for me. Guilt twisted. Sharp as the knife Victor had wielded. Controversial decision 3. I didn't run. I pulled her in. Plotted with her. the jilted mistress and the hollowed wife. An unholy alliance forged in latte steam. We hit 'em where it hurts, I said. Their alibis. Voss's next gala, tomorrow night. You get me in as Victor's +1 ghost. I expose from the inside. Brooks' laugh was bitter. You're crazier than he was.
Fine.
But if we burn together. The gala was at the Art Institute. Lions roaring silently under chandeliers dripping crystal like frozen tears. I wore a rented tux, Victor's size, but tailored to fit my resolve, Brooke on my arm. Her gown a scarlet accusation. Voss held court amid Picassos and patrons. Her laugh a scalpel-slicing small talk. Hale lurked, cigar smoke curling like secrets. I waited for the toast. Champagne flutes raised. Then hacked the AV, Elias's backdoor virus. Slipped in via a caterer's thumb drive. Screens flickered. Not the sponsor reel, but the logs. Faces of the erased. Voices dubbed from intercepted calls. Transfer complete. Donor viable. Chaos erupted, gasps. Spills. Voss's face draining to ash. What is this? She hissed, lunging for the podium. I stepped forward, Victor's voice from my throat. This is the end of your little immortality club. Elena. Courtesy of the wife you all wrote off. Phones whipped out. Live streams igniting Twitter, Soul Trade. Neuralink nightmare. Hale bolted for the exits. Secret Service in tow. But Brooke blocked him, her heel grinding his instep. Not so fast, Senator. Tell the donors how you sampled the merchandise. The cops swarmed by the finale. Voss and Hale in zip ties. The cabal's threads unraveling live on Fox 32. I slipped out amid the melee. Brooke's hand in mine, a tentative bridge over the abyss. Back in the Impala, Harlan grinned through the rear view. Paper's gonna eat this up.
Sadie.
Front page. Vigilante wife topples tech titans. But as sirens wailed in the distance, doubt crept. The bleed whispered Victor's mantra, power's the only truth. Had I reclaimed mine? Or just borrowed his poison? That night, alone in the brownstone, now unsealed. Ghosts evicted, I pored over the drives. One file stopped me cold. Harper Initiative. My maiden name. Footage from 2017 me.
Pre-swap.
In Victor's office. Initialing the program launch. For the greater good, I said on tape. Eyes fever bright. The miscarriage had shattered me. Yes. But grief had twisted into something darker, a god complex, whispering that if I couldn't save one child, I'd save legions through progress. Victor hadn't forced it. He'd followed my lead, then hijacked it when I faltered post-op. The twist inverted. I wasn't the victim bearing his crime. I was the architect. The mistake that birthed the monster. He'd covered for me, swapped to protect my legacy from scrutiny, only to pervert it for his gain. Betrayal? Mutual. A toxic tango. I slammed the laptop. Heart hammering. Call the feds? Confess my genesis? Or bury it deeper? Let the world hail the hero while the villainous slept sound? Dawn broke over Lake Michigan. Waves lapping like unanswered questions. I chose silence for now. Kids first thrived. Reformed. A phoenix from the pyre. Brooke and I? Allies. Maybe more. In the quiet hours when the city's pulse slowed. But the couch? I burned it in the backyard. Flames licking high. A pyre for the woman who'd slept there. America debated my story in podcasts and op-eds. Redemption arc or calculated con. I tuned it out. building something real from the ruins. Yet in dreams, I wear his face still, hungering. Some swaps, it turns out, aren't so easily undone. Word count, 1008. Part 3. Months blurred into a fragile normalcy. The kind Chicago winters forge, brittle, beautiful, prone to shattering under the slightest thaw. Kids first ballooned. Grants pouring in from scandal-shy philanthropists eager to launder their guilt. I keynote at TEDx, voice steady as I unpacked the neural ethics minefield, crowds hanging on every word, mistaking my scars for wisdom. Brooke moved in, her laugh a balm against the brownstone's echoes. Our nights tangled in sheets that smelled of lavender and second chances. "You're free, Sadie," she'd murmur, fingers tracing the faint scar from the swap rig on my temple.
Free.
The word tasted like ash. Victor's trial loomed, a circus tent pitched in the Dirksen Federal Courthouse, reporters swarming like flies on roadkill. I testified first day, perched in the witness box under fluorescent glare, Judge Ramirez's gavel a metronome to my unraveling. "MS. Klein," the prosecutor drawled, all Southern charm masking shark teeth. "Walk us through the reversal. How it felt to inhabit your husband's form, wield his power." The jury leaned in, 12 strangers, Midwestern faces etched with that polite hunger for drama. I described it clinically, the disorientation, the bleed, the rush of decisions that blurred right and wrong. Gasps rippled when I detailed the gala takedown, Voss's empire crumbling in pixelated glory. Victor, shackled across the room, met my gaze, his eyes in a stranger's face. Now his own again. Post-reversal. No fire left, just a hollow stare that mirrored my own buried truth. Cross-examination was Hale's shark, Elena Voss's fixer turned defense attorney, a silver fox named Carmichael with a drawl that dripped contempt. "So, Mrs. Klein, or should I say, architect of the Harper Initiative, you claim victimhood, yet records show you championed the tech. Desperation after personal loss. Perhaps a mother's grief twisting into godplay. Objection overruled." The courtroom hushed as he projected the clip. Me, 2017. Vibrant and unscarred. Pitching to the board. "This isn't resurrection, it's evolution. We give the broken a second chance." My words, weaponized. Whispers swelled, complicit.
Culpable.
Brooke squeezed my hand in the gallery, but her grip faltered. Even she, my anchor, eyed me anew. Victor took the stand next, a spectacle of contrition scripted by plea bargain hacks. "Sadie was brilliant," he croaked, voice cracking for the cameras. The program was her vision, to help the grieving, the lost.
I
corrupted it. For power. For us. Lies layered thick. But the jury ate it up. America's soft spot for fallen princes. He painted me as the innocent innovator, himself the serpent. Twist upon twist. In absolving me, he damned us both. Post-trial leaks, courtesy of a juror with a podcast deal, revealed his play, finger the wife as inspiration. Mitigate to 20 years. I seethed in the courthouse halls. Marble cold underfoot, the weight of his mercy like chains. But the real antagonist emerged in shadows, not Victor, not Voss, but the system. The biotech lobbyists who'd lobbied Congress for Cognitive Freedom Acts, burying oversight in red tape.
Hale.
Out on bail. Hosted fundraisers from his yacht on Lake Calumet. Toasting innovation's martyrs. Controversial decision 4. I didn't sue.
Didn't lobby.
I went rogue again. With Elias, now a ghost consultant, holed up in a Milwaukee safe house, I reverse-engineered the sync code. Open-sourced it on GitHub under a pseudonym. For the people, the manifesto read: no more elites hopping shells while the poor rot in originals. Hackers worldwide pounced. DIY rigs in garages. Consciousness collectives in Berlin squats. Chaos bloomed, identity heists in Silicon Valley. Ghost unions striking in Detroit factories. The Fed scrambled, labeling it domestic terror. Ethicists decried it as Pandora's virus. Brooke confronted me over takeout Thai. Steam curling like accusations. This isn't revenge. Sadie, it's anarchy. You're unleashing what Victor craved, power for anyone hungry enough to take it. Her words stung. Truth in the spice. We'd grown close. Lovers in the literal sense. Her body a map I'd charted without theft. But the bleed had seeped into us, my ambitions sharpening her edge. Her caution dulling mine. He stole me first, I snapped. This reclaims what's owed. She left that night. Suitcase thumping downstairs. A echo of my own flight to Harlan's hotel. Alone again. I paced. The brownstone's walls closing like a neural cage. The climax crashed via encrypted drop. Harlan. Dying liver cancer. The irony of a whiskey man summoned me to his hospice in Humboldt Park. Bedridden. Tubes snaking like veins. He pressed a final envelope into my palm. The origin.
Sadie.
Not yours. Not Victor's. Inside, yellowed memos from 2015. DARPA origins. The Harper Initiative? Stolen from a black site project. Project Echo, mind transfers for wounded vets. Scrapped after volunteers emerged. Changed. Violent. Suicidal. Victor hadn't corrupted my dream. We'd inherited a curse. Amplified it for profit. The secret buried deepest. Our miscarriage? Sabotaged. A test, dosed with a protoneurotoxin to prime my brain for mapping. Victor knew. Greenlit it to bind me closer. Make me pliable. Rage. Pure and volcanic. Propelled me to Victor's supermax visit. Plexiglass between us. His face gaunt. Eyes dead fish. You poison her, I hissed. Voice muffled, but venom clear. Our daughter, for the tech. He leaned in, breath fogging the divide. We needed the break.
Sadie.
You were climbing too fast. Too independent. The loss. It reset you. Made you mine. Confession. Finally. But his smile twisted. And you loved it. The power we built. Without me, you're just another do-gooder in the trenches. I left without a word. The drive back a blur of lakefront fog. The trial ended in hung jury. America cleaved. Half cheering Victor's redemption, half baying for blood. Voss walked on technicalities. Hale. Re-elected in a sympathy wave.
Me?
Indicted for the open source drop. But charges dropped too messy. Too viral. The ending? No tidy bow. I shuttered kids first. Funneled remnants to grassroots orgs fighting the echo economy. Brooke returned. Sporadically. Our bond a fragile truce. Harlan's funeral was small. Rain lashed. His Impala sold for scrap.
Years on.
I write this from a cabin in Door County. Waves whispering truths the city drowned. Happy? Tragic? Debatable as hell. The courts still skirmish over neural rights. My name a footnote in manifestos. Victor died in custody. Natural causes. His final letter absolving me. We were always one.
Sadie.
Swapped or not. Bullshit. But it lingers. I sleep on a real bed now. But the couch's ghost visits, a reminder that revenge isn't reclamation, it's recursion. The betrayed becoming the betrayer. America loves the debate. The podcast's parsing my soul.
Me?
I walk the shore, feeling the bleed fade, wondering if the real swap was souls all along. Some secrets reverse the truth so thoroughly, you can't tell where you end and the monster begins. Word count, 1004. Total word count, 3024.